All right, let's dive into something pretty interesting today.
Okay.
We're going to be taking a look at Yulin Kuang's debut novel,
Debut novel.
um, How to End a Love Story. And
Yeah.
it's been getting a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
We came across a podcast review that just
Wow.
raved about it, called it a masterpiece of heartbreak and hope.
Wow.
Pretty high praise.
That's impressive. Yeah, especially for a debut novel to be able to evoke
Yeah.
that kind of strong emotion from readers. It's no easy feat.
Yeah, it seems like she's really tapped into something special here.
Yeah.
So the story takes us to Los Angeles and introduces us to Emma,
Okay.
who's a screenwriter, and Jack, who's a best-selling author.
Hmm.
And their lives kind of become intertwined after a shared tragedy.
Interesting. And what is this shared tragedy?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
So it's the death of Emma's younger sister.
Oh, wow.
And to make things even more complicated, Jack played a part in it.
Oh, my goodness. So they're brought together by this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Horrible tragedy.
Talk about starting a relationship with some serious baggage, right?
I can't even imagine. Yeah, that would be a
Yeah.
very heavy burden to carry, both the grief and the guilt.
Yeah, and to have that be the foundation of your relationship.
Exactly. It really sets the stage for exploring all these complexities of human connection,
Yeah.
Like here you have these two people who are grappling with this immense loss.
Right.
And it's that shared pain that kind of forms the basis of their connection.
So it's not your typical, like, rom-com meet cute.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely not. There's a certain darkness,
Yeah.
a rawness to it that you wouldn't find in a typical love story.
The review described their relationship as electric, messy, and painfully real.
Hmm.
So it sounds like there's a lot of push and pull,
Yeah, a constant tension between that attraction
Right.
and the weight of their shared history.
It makes you wonder if love can even truly blossom in the shadow of such a tragedy.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it seems to be at the core.
Yeah. Of what the novel is exploring. Can forgiveness and healing
Right.
coexist with such deep wounds? Can love redeem a past that's riddled with
Right.
guilt and regret?
Now, the story unfolds through alternating perspectives, so we get to see both Emma and Jack's points of view.
So we're really getting into both of their heads and their struggles.
Exactly, and that's key because it allows us to experience their individual struggles
Right.
with grief and guilt.
Yeah.
We see how Emma's sister's death haunts her. It shapes her choices, her relationships, everything.
You mentioned haunting, and that made me think of a passage from the review where they quoted Emma describing her grief as a shadow that stretches long and cold, clinging to me,
Wow.
even in the California sunshine.
That's powerful.
Really powerful imagery. It speaks to just how deeply she's been affected by this loss.
And, the reviewer called Emma a survivor,
Hmm.
which on the surface, I mean, she's built this successful career
Right.
in a really demanding industry.
So she's obviously a strong woman.
But could that strength be a facade,
It's a good question. Is she really thriving,
Right.
or is she just burying her grief beneath this veneer of success?
Exactly. And it makes me wonder, is her connection with Jack
Right.
a genuine attempt at healing? Or is it a way to avoid confronting her pain?
That's the kind of nuance that makes this story so compelling. We're not dealing with these simple one-dimensional characters. These are layered, flawed individuals.
Right.
They're struggling to navigate all these complicated emotions.
And Jack, I mean, he's clearly carrying a heavy burden of guilt.
Right. Absolutely.
But how does that manifest in his life?
Yeah.
Is he seeking redemption or just trying to outrun his past?
Well, the reviewer described him as a man haunted by what he did, desperate to make amends.
Mhm.
So it sounds like there's a sense of responsibility there, a desire to atone for his actions.
Yeah.
But, whether he can truly forgive himself and whether Emma can forgive him, that remains to be seen.
So it seems like the novel really delves into the different facets of forgiveness, not just forgiving others,
Yeah.
but forgiving ourselves for the mistakes we've made.
And that's where things get really interesting because often the hardest person to forgive is ourselves.
And that struggle, that internal conflict, is something we can all relate to on some level, right?
Absolutely. We've all made mistakes. We've
Yeah.
all done things we regret.
Yeah.
And that question of how we move forward, how we find peace amidst that guilt.
Right.
That's a universal one.
It sounds like Kuang doesn't shy away from those difficult questions.
No, it seems like she dives right into that messiness
Yeah.
of human experience. She makes us confront those shadows within ourselves.
Yeah, and that's the power of great storytelling, right?
Yeah.
It holds up a mirror to our own lives.
Exactly. It allows us to process those complex emotions and grapple with
Right.
those challenging questions, but in a safe space,
Exactly.
through the lens of these characters.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so powerful.
Yeah.
So we get to experience it without having to go through it ourselves.
Exactly. It's like a vicarious catharsis in a way. We
Yeah.
can learn and grow from their journeys
Exactly.
without having to make the same mistakes.
It's a powerful thing.
It really is. Stories have a way of connecting us
Yeah.
on such a deep level. They help us understand ourselves and the world around us.
It's amazing.
It really is. And I think that's why we're so drawn to them, whether it's books, movies, TV shows.
Yeah.
We crave those narratives that make us feel something, that make us think,
Yeah.
that make us question.
I think so too.
It's part of what makes us human, that desire to connect with stories and to find meaning in them.
I agree.
And it's exciting to see a debut author like Yulin Kuang coming out with such a powerful and thought-provoking work.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to read this one now.
Me too. After hearing about all this, it's definitely going on my reading list.
It's going on mine too.
And, I think it's a reminder that sometimes the best stories come from unexpected places. A debut author can come along and just blow you away with their talent and insight.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes it so exciting to discover new voices in literature.
Yeah, they bring fresh perspectives and challenge us to see the world in new ways.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that there are still so many stories out there waiting to be told and so many voices waiting to be heard.
I think so too. And that's what makes it so exciting to be a reader.
Absolutely.
There's always something new to discover.
There is. It's a never-ending journey.
It really is.
And I, for one, am grateful for it.
Me too.
It's what keeps me going, keeps me inspired.
Me too. And it's what makes these deep dives so much fun. It's like
Absolutely.
we're just scratching the surface, but it's sparking all these ideas.
Yeah, it's a jumping off point, a catalyst for further exploration.
Exactly. And I think that's what we hope to achieve with these deep dives,
Right,
to spark that curiosity in our listeners and encourage them to explore.
Yeah, to engage with these works on a deeper level, to go beyond just passively consuming the content, but to really think critically and draw their own connections.
Exactly.
To have those aha moments where something clicks and they see the world in a new light.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
And I think that's a powerful thing, to be able to share that with others.
Absolutely.
To create a community of engaged listeners who are passionate about exploring these ideas.
I agree.
So let's keep diving. Let's keep exploring.
Yes, let's do it.
There's a whole world of stories out there waiting for us.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
Exactly.
All right, so we've talked about the characters, the setting, the themes.
Yeah, we've laid the groundwork. Now let's delve a little deeper into the nuances of the story.
Yeah, let's see what else we can uncover.
Okay, I'm ready.
I am too.
Let's do it.
And it's fascinating how Los Angeles itself plays into all of this.
Oh, how so?
Well, the reviewer mentioned how the cities, like glitz and glamour,
Right.
contrasts really sharply with the characters' inner turmoil.
Yeah, that juxtaposition is really interesting. Los Angeles is often seen as this place of
Yeah.
reinvention. Like you can shed your past and become someone new, but can you truly escape your demons, even amidst all the California sunshine?
Right, and it seems like the novel explores that tension.
Mhm.
On the surface, Emma and Jack are these successful, driven individuals
Right.
living in this vibrant city, but beneath that facade,
Yeah.
they're carrying the weight of their past.
Right, and it's impacting everything, their relationships, their sense of self.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if the city itself becomes like a character in the story,
Oh, interesting.
almost like a mirror reflecting that duality of their experiences.
Yeah, the bright lights and endless possibilities masking this deeper sense of longing and unease.
And the reviewer also pointed out how Kuang's writing style contributes to that feeling.
Okay.
They described her prose as lyrical and evocative, saying it draws you into the emotional landscape of the story.
There's one line that really stuck with me. She describes the LA skyline at night as like a million twinkling promises, each one holding the potential for both heartbreak and hope.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It perfectly captures that allure of the city, right? But
Yeah.
also that potential for disillusionment and redemption.
And it speaks to the idea that even in a city that seems to prioritize, like, superficiality,
Yeah.
there's still room for genuine connection and emotional depth.
Absolutely. And that seems to be at the heart of Emma and Jack's story. Can they find that
Right.
genuine connection with each other despite the trauma and the secrets they carry.
The title itself, How to End a Love Story.
Yeah.
It's so intriguing, it's almost like a challenge, or a question posed to the reader, like, is there a right way to end a love story? Is it even possible to fully let go?
That's what makes it so thought-provoking. It doesn't offer easy answers or neat resolutions. It forces us to confront that messiness of human relationships and the impact of our choices.
It makes me think about all the different ways we experience love and loss,
Right.
Sometimes love ends with like a dramatic breakup. Other times it just fades slowly over time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's intertwined with tragedy and guilt, like with Emma and Jack.
And even when a love story ends, the echoes of those emotions can linger.
Right.
They shape how we approach future relationships, how we view ourselves.
It's like the ending of a love story isn't always a period, but like an ellipsis, suggesting that the journey continues, even if the path ahead is uncertain.
I like that, the ellipsis. It suggests that there's always more to the story.
Right. And the reviewer mentioned the ending being satisfying, yet thought-provoking.
Ooh, that makes me even more curious.
Right.
Did it provide closure for the characters, or did it leave the reader with lingering questions?
I guess we'll have to read it to find out.
I guess so. But, I appreciate how this discussion has gone beyond just summarizing the plot.
Me too.
We're really digging into the nuances of the story, the characters' motivations, the bigger questions it raises about love, loss, and, the human condition.
Right. That's the beauty of a deep dive.
Exactly.
It's not just about absorbing information. It's about engaging with the material, like on an emotional and intellectual level, drawing our own connections.
It's about asking those why questions, the ones that make us think critically and challenge our own assumptions about the world.
And sometimes those why questions lead to more questions than answers.
Absolutely.
Which can be even more rewarding.
Oh, for sure. It keeps the conversation going, sparks further exploration.
Right.
Allows the story to resonate long after we finished reading it.
Speaking of those lingering questions, the reviewer made an interesting point about the role of forgiveness in the story.
Okay, what did they say?
They said that Kuang explores forgiveness not as a singular act, but as a journey, a constant negotiation between the past and the present.
That's a really powerful way to put it, because forgiveness isn't just this switch you flip on and off. It's a process, often messy and unpredictable, and it requires, a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths.
About ourselves and others.
Exactly.
And sometimes forgiveness isn't even about the other person.
Right.
It's about freeing ourselves from the burden of anger and resentment.
Yeah, allowing us to move forward with a lighter heart.
Exactly.
It seems like Kuang is challenging us to consider forgiveness in all its complexity.
Yeah.
To look beyond simple definitions and grapple with those emotional nuances of what it means to truly let go.
And in the context of this story, where the characters are bound by this shared tragedy, forgiveness takes on even deeper meaning. It becomes a crucial step in their individual healing and the potential for reconciliation.
The question is, can they reach that point?
Right.
Can they forgive themselves and each other enough to create a future free from the shadows of the past?
It's a question worth pondering, and it's one that might resonate differently for each reader, depending on their own experiences with love, loss, and forgiveness.
That's the power of a well-told story, It invites us to bring our own baggage to the table, to see ourselves reflected in the characters' struggles, and to find meaning that's both personal and universal.
It's pretty amazing how just one podcast review can get us talking this much.
Right.
We've only just started talking about how to end a love story, and there's already so much to unpack.
Yeah, it really speaks to the power of a good story,
For sure.
How it can really transport you, make you feel things, make you see things differently.
Definitely. And this story, it hits on so many different levels. It's a love story, it's about dealing with tragedy, and it's about how people can overcome just awful things.
And what's interesting to me is how Kuang uses Los Angeles, the city itself, to bring out those emotional complexities.
Yeah.
It's more than just a setting. It's like this reflection of what the characters are going through.
Right, and that contrast we were talking about. The city's all glitz and glamour.
Right.
But inside, Emma and Jack are dealing with so much pain.
Yeah, it's like the city's watching them struggle and try to make it.
Yeah, and Krong's writing, the way she uses words,
Oh, it's beautiful.
really pulls you in.
You feel like you're right there with the character.
That line about the LA skyline at night,
Yes.
about all those twinkling promises,
Heartbreak and hope all mixed together.
that's the kind of writing that sticks with you.
It makes you see things in a new way even after you've finished the book.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We're not just talking about what happened in the book, we're really trying to understand it.
Getting into the author's head, thinking about why she made the choices she made.
And thinking about how it applies to our own lives.
Exactly. And in doing that, we're learning more about ourselves.
About love and loss and what it means to forgive.
It's a lot to think about, but that's the good stuff, you know.
That's what we're here for.
Makes you really appreciate the power of stories.
The reviewer called the book a masterpiece of heartbreak and hope.
Perfect description.
Really captures what we've been talking about.
It's got those dark moments for sure, but it also shows how strong people can be.
That even after something terrible, you can still find a way forward.
It's a story that makes you think about those big questions, you know.
About life and love and how to let go of things that are hurting you.
And we didn't spoil the ending, but it sounds like it will leave you with a lot to think about.
Satisfying but thought-provoking.
Makes you want to read it yourself and see how it all comes together.
So if you're looking for a book that will stay with you,
something that will challenge you and make you feel things.
How to End a Love Story might be just the thing.
A really impressive debut from a writer with a unique voice.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you learned something and maybe got inspired to check out the book.
And until next time, keep reading, keep thinking, and keep exploring those amazing stories out there.
See you next time.